Welcome to the DNX podcast, the number one resource for entrepreneurs, nomads, and impact-driven souls. And I am your coach, SILVIA Christman. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here today with Gahmya Drummond-Bey, who is an international education hacker. And she's here today to really talk to us about how to find your perfect way to surf. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Chat with you.
Yeah, thank you for making the time. I know, I'm so excited. I was introduced to you because you recently did a TED Talk.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. We're really excited that we get to share that on here as well. And so I was curious about you because you wrote that you love to be of service to the world as you travel, which most of our audiences love to do as well. So I thought it would be great to have you here today and share your perspective of what it means to you to find your perfect way to be of service.
Yeah. For me, traveling isn't the goal, and I started traveling internationally about 12 years ago. And I had this feeling that I wanted to do something bigger than what I'd seen or what I experienced. And I wanted to feel of value, but I didn't really know what that looked like. And I didn't really have people around me who could help me, find that. And so I went abroad to Turkmenistan. And it was there where I followed my curiosity. And to me, that's important because usually when people talk about serving or giving value or living on purpose, they talk about your passion. But to constantly be told, find your passion, dig into your passion, if you don't know what that is, it can be torturous. It can be something that just makes people feel not enough. And although I've always had a sense of purpose, one thing that has really pushed me forward has been following my curiosities. And I was always curious about helping people to learn or teaching people things. And so I traveled first to Turkmenistan to do just that. And then I realized, wow, what if I did this other places? What if I experienced other cultures and taught them and learned from them? And so for me, my way of serving has been just tapping into my curiosity and acting upon it. Oh, what would it be like in this place? Okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to see what it's like. And I'm going to find one way to be of service and of value in that space. And in that, not only did I find my purpose and my value, but I ended up having this full life where I feel like there's always a big ride. There's always something exciting to do. And it's so fun. And in that I have travel and I have abundance and friendships, but I have value.
I love that. I think it's so important to distinguish between this. We live in this sort of like happiness, purpose-driven economy, especially in the US, that I think is so misleading.
Yeah.
A lot of time it puts like an extra layer of pressure on people rather than just finding what works for them. Like something I'm passionate about does not necessarily mean it's what I do to make a living.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Like I can combine those two, and there's a different way of doing it. So why do you think you travel so much?
Well, I travel for me because it is the means that's necessary for me to give a value. So far I have helped to redefine education in different learning spaces in 20 countries. And to do that, I have to travel. So for me, traveling is what I have to do what I'm meant to do. So it isn't the goal to travel, but it's a part of the beautiful package. I will say that there was a time when I was still figuring things out and I needed to go to different countries. And I thought, how can I make this trip? And this was when I was taking vacations and I wasn't traveling so much as a part of my life focus. And I would say, how can I make this vacation valuable? And so what I would do is I would take my carry-on bag and I would fill it with something, books that I made, or sometimes it would be crayons and materials. And I would say, okay, now I'm traveling to this country. Sometimes it would be Bangkok or Mongolia. And my bag is filled with stuff that I have to unload. So I have to find kids to give this stuff to. I have to find a space. I have to go to an orphanage, or I have to find a space to share and serve. And that ended up being this beautiful experience of mission experiences that I would have during my travels. And I realized that it pushed me out of my comfort zone, because sometimes I would say, you know what, I'm having such a great time in Thailand. This is great. I don't really want to volunteer. And then I would look at my carry-on bag and it's filled with material. So, okay, I guess I'm just going to have to go on the streets and find kids and serve. And that was a way for me to kind of check future me, because I knew that sometimes when we're planning something, we have these big visions. And then when it's time to really step into that giant vision that we have when we're in the moment, it's easy to shrink, you know? So I would say, okay, I know that if I go to this country with this plan of doing something of value, or maybe volunteering, I may get shy or nervous or try, not to do it. So I'm going to fill this carry-on bag with stuff, because I know future me is going to say, okay, I have to do something with these materials. So for me now, traveling is a part of my life. It's part of what I need to do to fulfill my mission. But in the beginning, it wasn't always that way. And so there were things that I would do, like, the mission trips, to help push me outside of my shell, because I feel like when we're curious about something, there's always a part of us that knows about our next step, that knows the giant leap that we want to take. But it's also that part of us that we know that's going to say, hey, you know what? I know giant you wants to come out, but it's uncomfortable to do that. I don't really want to do that. It's more comfortable to stay in my shell and to play in my comfort zone. And so for me in the beginning, it was just planting those seeds, and that led to this type of travel. But for me, traveling has definitely been in different phases.
Again, I love the way you frame this, because there's future me, and there's bigger me, and then there's the afraid version of me that's really scared of what's going to happen next.
Yes.
Yeah, I can relate to that very much. So do you think you get a lot of jealousy from people when they listen to you about your adventures around the world?
I'm not sure if I get jealousy from other people. Maybe I do. I really subscribe to the idea that other people's opinions of me aren't my business. But I do pay close attention to how I feel, how I connect with jealousy myself. I really believe in feeling all of our feelings. I think everything we feel is for a reason. So we aren't only supposed to experience happiness and joy. You need your fear, you need your pain, and you need your jealousy. And so when we go back to the idea of the giant, those different versions of us that want to play small because it's comfortable, but also, wants us to step into the giants that we are. There are times when, and I will speak for myself, there are times when I know that there are things that I want to do that I'm overlooking because it's comfortable. Hey, this is great. What I'm doing is great. And to everyone else, it looks like I'm in my superstar version of me. Although to myself, I know that there are so many things that I want to do that are beyond this. And that's when jealousy comes in. To me, jealousy is that feeling, that reminder. It's your giant inside saying, hey, you know why you have this little pang or this feeling in your gut when you see that? It's not because you're emitting bad feelings towards that person or that thing. It's because there's something about that experience that the giant in you is saying, remember, we want that. We want to be, do, or have that. Let me out. Let me experience that. And that's the beautiful thing about jealousy. So I rarely experience it, but when I do, oh, I'm so grateful for it, because it's like, oh, thank you for knocking me out of my daily routine and reminding me of what the giant in me wants.
Yes. I can relate to that so much, for sure. So if somebody is listening to you and they're wondering, like, how can I get started? Like, how can I tap into what the giant in me wants? What would you tell them?
I believe that success is in action. Action is the language of success. And when I say success, I mean in happiness. I mean in love. I mean in peace. Whatever you want, act on that thought. I really believe in this idea, and Elizabeth Gilbert says this in Big Magic, and to me, it's brilliant. The idea that your ideas exist in this world as little souls, and then they choose you to be born, and then when we have or realize that we have the idea, we say, oh, but I'm not ready. We begin telling ourselves that we aren't enough. Oh, I'm not enough. I need to learn more. I need another coach, or I need to experience these things before I can do that. And the idea is like, no, I chose you out of everyone because you're ready. All I need you to do is act using what you know, who you are, and what you have in this moment. I just want to be given birth into the world through you. And so if anyone's listening and they want to know how to start, the idea that you have, go for it. It chose you. It's ready for you. There's nothing more that you need to do. And if you just do that one step, it can even be posting, asking for help, but just actively step into what it is that you think or believe or want to create. Just act on it one step at a time, and then you'll find your way. Just act on those curiosities. To me, curiosities are the path to your greatness.
What are you the most curious about at the moment?
Oh man, I'm so curious about artificial intelligence in education and VR. It is, yes. Yeah. So I'm so curious about this because when I was at TED, I realized that there were a lot of people who were playing in those spaces, and it was a space that was completely new to me, artificial intelligence and virtual reality. And all I could think was, I'm an educator. I help people to learn in these spaces. How do I bring them together? So I'm actually in Bulgaria right now, crafting some things with 360 cameras and VR to work with the National Geographic, because as an educator, I have to play in the land that my students play in. They're global citizens. They're digital citizens. This is their world. And so even when I'm shy or nervous or whenever I feel uncomfortable, I have to step into that giant to serve in the calling that I've taken on. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to hear more about that too. I agree. I mean, to all of us global digital citizens, that is definitely the next frontier.
Yes.
I'm very curious about it myself. Yeah. I mean, there's so much opportunity to see what that offers to the educational sector.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I'm just curious about, what do you think that happens when now the digital generation will start having children, and how is that going to affect the educational system when there are more and more kids that are global citizens and digital citizens over, the traditional form of education of living in the suburbs and going to the same school?
Well, education is definitely changing in that there are more people who realize that they can be in control of what they learn and how they learn it. And to me, that's what's absolutely beautiful about this world of global citizens that we live in, of being digital nomads. I mean, I walk down the street in Bulgaria and these kids get to interact with me and I get to interact with them. And everyone has their smartphones and they talk about games and things like that. It really brings the world together in a beautiful space that I definitely didn't have when I was a child. You know, we're so much more connected now, and we have an opportunity to really share and engage with one another. And to me, everyone who connects online is an educator. You know, every time you tweet, every time you post something on Facebook, you're an educator. You're a part of this world, and you're helping to build the next generation of global leaders that we're going to have. So I'm super excited for the way the world is shifting right now in that aspect.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited about the next generation of global citizens, because we used to be third culture kids that never really felt like they belonged.
Right.
And I think in this digital age, we're like the front runners, you know,
Yes.
like we're the trendsetters. We're the ones with the cross-cultural competencies and the global awareness.
Exactly. You speak the language. Right. So
yeah,
true.
I think this new generation is going to really break down the barriers of, you know, cultural misunderstandings by connecting through digital resources and education.
Yeah.
I think maybe. Never hurts. Okay. Well, thank you. This is so amazing. I really appreciate that you were making the time. We're going to post your link to your TED and your information. Is there anything that you wanted to share before we go that you're really excited about, that people need to know about you?
Well, I would definitely say look out for my TED Talk and some fun things that I will be posting on social media. In December, I have a project that I think will definitely connect education and social media in a new way. So I'm super excited for what that's going to do in the education space.
I'm excited about that too. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm really curious. I want to know what that's going to be. Thank you so much. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day and take care.
Thank you.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your ongoing support. Before I leave you, I want to invite you into my world. Please go check out dnxcommunity.com. This is where you'll find the other nomads and evaders of convention. We'll see you there. And if you're interested in our English-speaking events, go and check out dnxglobal.com. You'll find the link below this podcast as well. And if you have time, one last favor, please go to iTunes, look for Sylvia Chrisman or look for the DNX podcast and leave a review. Thank you so much, lovely people, and I'll talk to you next time.